Get that out of the way. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome in to the Daytona post-race review, and not gonna go to a rant. Might be a rant. We'll see. But today we're talking about Daytona. We're talking about all the races from Daytona. We're just recapping, kind of a mini podcast, if you will. But it's just me, so I don't have anybody to podcast with just yet. But nonetheless, we're just talking about Daytona. We're gonna start probably earliest in the week. We'll go all the way back to the duels. Duels were perfectly fine. There was a few crashes in them. No, not normally the way you want it to go. Obviously, one of the bigger storylines of the week was Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s car at Junior Motorsports number 40 getting into the show and qualifying with Justin Allgaier. The other one was Helio Castroneves, who was crashed out in the duel but had the provisional. That's the controversial part, was that provisional. And just for the gist of it, no, people are not mad about the provisional because Helio's not American. It's not because he's from Brazil. It's literally just an issue of Jimmy Johnson, 7-time champ. Martin Truex Jr., a champion of the sport. Those guys weren't locked in, but we locked in a guy who's never turned a lap in NASCAR. Okay? That's what it's about. For all the people that want to just go ahead and scream and shout and holler about how it's some race thing, no, that's not what it is. It is literally just that. That being said, we already lock in 36 cars, so what's a 37th car locked in really going to do? I mean, if Cody Ware's locked in, I guess Elio can lock in too. I just think at some point, I hope Daytona ends up a lot like the Indy 500. Nobody's locked in. Everybody earns their spot, and then the whole race can maybe earn a little of its prestige back. Prestige. We'll get to that a little later. You'll hear that word from a couple of different people. But anyway, so we go through the duels. Bubba Wallace and Austin Cindric are the duel winners. Not without a little bit of controversy with Eric Jones looking like the winner, crossing the line first, only for us to go, NASCAR called the caution. We're going to go ahead and change the winner. And that'll come into play later, too, because that is a type of situation where I don't really like them calling a caution because it's just not... They're 100 feet from the line. Just let them get there. But... Again, this will come up again later. So Austin Cindric ends up getting the win in the duel, and then also, like I said, Bubba Wallace got the win in duel number 1. So eventful for Thursday night, but then we move on to Friday. So Friday, we have the truck race. And the truck race, outside of the last lap crash, which unfortunately is just normal, I thought the truck drivers did a great job. I thought that was a great truck race. They kept their nose clean. They did a good job taking care of each other out there, getting the trucks to the finish. I mean, I was impressed. I thought the trucks put on one of the best shows at Daytona they've done in a very long time. Parker Kligerman edges out for the win after the last lap crash because, of course, everyone has to pile up on the last lap. It's Daytona. And, well, the type of racing we're doing is literally slamming into the car in front of you. So, you tell me, if you're going to slam into the car in front of you at full speed, is he going to not crash? Probably not. So, unfortunately, as usual, we have a last lap crash, but ends up being a race to the line. Caution flies a little early on that one as well, and Parker Kligerman is declared the winner. And then we move on to Saturday. Kind of. Well, let's move into Saturday morning, about 12 a.m. Get a notice. Parker Kligerman has failed post-race inspection. They are appealing it. Ride was too low in the rear. So, we'll see. We'll see exactly what that is and why. I mean, they seem pretty confident that this is a good appeal. So, is it? Not sure yet. Personally, I hope it sticks. I thought Parker deserved the win there. I don't know unless there was some massive cheated up part of that. I don't like the idea of stripping a win away, especially if you're not going to tech the other guys because there's crash damage. So it's like, look, if you can crash your car and get away with no tech, and then if you don't crash your car, you have to go to full tech. It seems weird to me, but we'll see. So we'll see about that. Moving on to Saturday. We move into the Xfinity race on Saturday. On that race, Austin Hill just dominant. I mean, a tremendous, tremendous car. Was out in front almost the entire race. Gets stage 1, stage 2. And really looked like he was going to win this race. And unfortunately, a mechanical issue crept up on him and taken him out of the race. Step in Jesse Love, the other Childers car, still goes out and wins. The Childers cars were just the class of the field, bar none. And this is exactly why I want the Xfinity package in the Cup race. Because the better cars could find their way to the front. Yes, there's still a lot of pushing and shoving. That's, it's still less. It's less than the trucks and Cup. But there's some. But the biggest thing is the better cars, you can see them work their way through the field. The better cars can rise to the front. It's not just ramming the car in front of you, hoping it goes faster. You can actually maneuver traffic. You can pull low and get a run and take a run out of line and sweep by a couple cars and get back up in line. The Xfinity Series, again, is superior. It is the superior rules package. It is the superior race car. It puts on the best show. It is the best car NASCAR has. It's weird to say that. It's not weird. I fully believe that and have believed that for a while now. But it's at this point, it's an objective fact. At this point, I can't think of any track, maybe other than Kansas, where the next gen really does outperform the Xfinity car. The Xfinity car is tremendous everywhere. Everywhere. That's a great race. And I will say it this way. The sooner NASCAR bites the bullet on the next gen and scraps it and just says, here's an Xfinity car. It is now our Cup and Xfinity. Both will run on the same platform. You can make some upgrades if you want to do some upgrades to it, but it's going to run if they run the same car. And I've got a whole theory behind that, why I think that would be the best thing for NASCAR. Maybe not this year. Maybe not next year. Give it 5-6 years down the road. That could really change NASCAR's landscape and the outlook that it has as far as teams going from Xfinity to Cup. 60 entries for the Daytona 500. 55 entries for the Brickyard 400. Just the ability to really open the doors towards that direction would really be very cool. But nonetheless, the Xfinity car is superior once again. What else can we say? I mean, it is what it is. They put on the best show. It's the most raceable car. That's what I'll call it. It is the most raceable car. So great Xfinity race. I thought overall it was kind of, again, we still have a last lap crash because we've just kind of decided that it's okay to drive like an idiot, whether you, on the last lap. If it's the last lap at Daytona, just drive like an idiot. It's acceptable now. Then we get to Daytona on Sunday. Donald Trump, 47th and 45th. Weird to say it that way, but two-time president. Two-time defending president? No. Two-time president. In attendance, I believe the Air Force One flew over. I think the car, whatever the motorcade was, took a lap around the track, and that was pretty much it. Got the presidential photo op, got on out of there. And so he's there in attendance, so naturally it's going to rain, and that's exactly what it did. It rained again, just like last time. And so we were delayed to a night race again. And so go through the end. We get started, get a little window of 11 laps right away, and then we get the rain. And the rain sits there, and it comes back, and they kind of got out, pulled back in, tried it a little bit more, and then got back to full racing. So stage one, Joey Logano ends up winning the stage. The Penske cars look very, very strong. Early on in this race, it was looking like it was the Penske cars. It was Chase Elliott. It was obviously Austin Cindric and Ryan Blaney were a part of that. Bubba Wallace looked strong. There was a lot of cars that continued to push their way to the front every time they were on the track, and it definitely showed. Then you go into stage two. In stage two, Joey Logano starts running into problems. He had a plastic bag got wrapped around the throttle body, misses a shift at the start of stage two, stacks up the field. That crash takes out Chastain, it takes out Castroneves, takes out Martin Truex Jr. So unfortunately, a lot of fan favorites were taken out in that one due to the plastic bag. So then we move on into the rest of stage two. Everything runs out pretty normal. There was a very suspect debris caution right as Joey was about to get lapped. That's not why they threw it. I know how people are like, they're rigging it. They're not rigging it for Penske. But I will say that was a horse crap caution. That was garbage. I know why they did it. They threw it right when they got to the fuel window so that there was no more riding around saving fuel, because that's not entertaining. And NASCAR wants it to be entertaining. And I would say if that's the case, get rid of the stages. Get rid of the stage cautions. Just get rid of the stage cautions. And guess what? Then they don't have a guaranteed caution coming up. They're not going to half fill their car with fuel. They're going to run out, fill it full, run it out again. I'm good with that. So I know they'll never do it. I just think it would be a really good option. Because again, if you can pay the points and then just keep racing, I think that'd be really, really cool. But anyway, so we go through the end of stage two. I believe it was Austin Cindric that won stage two. I think that's who it was. Then we moved down into stage 3, and stage 3 was pretty eventful. They were saving fuel 3 wide for a while, and once again, right when they get inside the fuel window to get to the finish, debris caution. Did we ever see it? No. You can about guess what it was. Phantom debris cautions. So, not a strong start for NASCAR integrity to start 2025. Not great. So then we move past that. Everyone's now pitted and they're coming out, and it's time to go race for the win. With about 15 laps to go, so they raced really hard for 15 laps. By the way, some of the best 15 laps of racing you can see. It was really fun. Is it better than Xfinity at peak? No. It's still, you can't get third lanes going. Still a lot of ramming into the car in front of you. And that's exactly how this ended. This run was really fun to watch, and eventually with Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Corey LaJoie, and Joey Logano, mostly the Stenhouse Logano combo, you could see it coming for about 10 laps. Something was going to happen, and sure enough, Logano dives middle, Ricky pulls a late block, they make it work, Logano stuffs his nose in a hole that's really not there again, Stenhouse makes room, changes his mind, goes back down, closes it off. At the time, I said it was mostly on Stenhouse. I'm going to put it on both of them. It was truly just both of them needed to pull their head out of their butt, to be honest. Where was Joey going to go? You poked your hole in a nose in a hole that's not there. So where are you going? Where are you expecting to end up in that situation? There's no success rate with that move. And for Ricky Stenhouse, when a guy says 2 cars low, stop going low. So it's both of them. They both are going to get fault for that. But unfortunately, that wreck takes out a lot of very good cars that were running at the front. Ryan Blaney got taken out. Chase Elliott. No, I say taken out. They were running up front. They had damage. They had to go to the back. So there was a handful of cars that were taken out, but there was a handful of very high running contenders that were up at the front at that time that all got taken out as well. So then we move on to the next restart. People are running 2x2, they get rolling. Denny Hamlin has found his way to the front. Christopher Bell then follows him through and goes to the outside lane. Cole Custer gives him just too hard of a push. Gets a little off center and spins him to the outside wall. He comes back into traffic, and then he hits Ryan Preece. And Ryan Preece goes airborne and flips over into the turn 3 wall. Ends up on his wheels eventually and coming to a halt. Now, look, I know everybody's all bent out of shape. We need to keep the cars on the ground. I get it. Here's the thing. He popped a wheelie at 180 miles an hour. I don't know of any car that's not flipping there. I'm not saying that it's unacceptable to keep these cars flipping every race. That's not I agree. I don't want cars flipping every race. And at the same time, two things can be true. That's not a car fault. Literally, the car popped up like this, and has a 180 mile an hour wind getting to the bottom of it. I don't care if it's an airplane underneath or not. You are just at a bad angle. That is a flipping angle. There's not much you can do to get that thing to turn back down when the angle is just bad. It's just a bad angle for the car to be at. It's not supposed to ever get at that angle, but with the wheel contact popping the nose up, I know we want the car safe. I want the car safe. I don't want these kind of crashes. And I just don't think this is a car fault. I'm not blaming the car on this specific instance. I will blame the car or the package or the rules for why they're slamming into each other at 190 miles an hour. You know, they're just hammering on each other's bumper until people finally get spun around and crashed. That we can blame the car for. But the car flipping, I don't know if any car doesn't flip in that situation. If you're like at this angle, at that speed, I think you're probably going upside down. I don't know that anything's going to stop it, because it's one thing if it goes backwards like that, roof flaps deploy, do its job. It's going forward. It's designed to go forward. You can't have flaps. You can't have flaps on a car going straight. So when the car goes like this suddenly, there's no flaps. There's not even a spoiler. There's nothing for it to use. The aerodynamics don't work. And so, again, I just don't know that there's much they could have done about it. So Ryan Preece with that wild ride there, though, again, takes out Christopher Bell. And just a hard push from Custer, just too much. Then we move on to the last restart. This is the one that pretty much does end up ending the race, because that was a 2 to go. And this is where I'm going to get, and a lot of people, I think, have rightfully gotten to this point. I was wondering if it was just me on Sunday night. I'm very reassured that a lot of prominent NASCAR personalities and drivers, with Denny Hamlin, and just a bunch of people have kind of come to the same conclusion, which is they're kind of tired of this. They're tired of last lap crashes. Who makes it through the crash is the winner. That's not It's not memorable. As weird as it sounds. Oh, he made it through this crash to win a race. That's memorable when it happens once in a blue moon. It's not memorable when it happens every single time. If I wanted that to happen every time, I could watch iRacing, because that's pretty much how every iRacing super speedway goes. They wad up on the last lap, and somebody goes through it full throttle and makes it, and that's the guy that wins. So, unfortunately, that's the reality of what the Daytona 500 has become. So let's go into the last lap crash. We have Denny Hamlin. He goes high around Austin Cindric. He's almost clear, but not quite. Cole Custer is running up with a run on behind him. Cole Custer pulls to the outside. Chase Briscoe does not follow. He ducks in behind and follows Denny Hamlin. And so at this point, we are 3 wide across the front for the lead. And this is where I am frustrated with Denny Hamlin a little. I mean, again, he ends up saying it differently on his podcast today, which is Monday. Actions detrimental. But at the time, after the race, his comments did not match what he says today. So Cole Custer hangs a left and just basically wrecks the top 5-6 cars. All on the bottom, it just wrecks all of them. By just hanging a left. He was hung out to dry and said, nope, I'm taking you all with me, and just hooked a left. And William Byron, on the outside lane, gets untouched, along with Tyler Reddick. Actually, Reddick gets hit in the door, but just right place, right time. Byron goes 7th to 1st and wins the Daytona 500. And this is where the first of our few issues are. NASCAR left it green. I do not agree with that. I know everyone was mad about the caution earlier. Okay, I get it. I am definitely in favor of a caution in that situation. One, I don't want to reward a guy for seeing a wreck and hammering down. There's cars crashing in front of you. We don't want somebody to be rewarded for full throttling into a wreck. That is how people get hurt. That is how people get severely hurt. Because, sure, today it was only a few cars. Most everyone had the common sense to jump out of it. The problem is there are drivers coming up. Watch ARCA. You'll see them. And these drivers, I kid you not, they'll be behind the whole pack as it wrecks. They're not going to lift. And that collision with that car in front's not going to be one at 160 from crashing and one at 180, or one at 140 and one at 150. We're talking one sliding to a stop under 100 miles an hour, one full throttle at 180. That is an 80-mile-an-hour collision. We don't want that. So how do you disincentivize a driver from full throttling into a wreck? You throw the caution. You say, race is over, just get through the wreck. You are now incentivized to not speed through it, just get through it. So slow down, stop if you have to. Slow it nice, down, easy, and navigate your way through the wreck. You're not going to lose your spot. Because the message NASCAR sent while leaving it green is, yeah, if you slow down and guys blow past you, you're going to lose all those spots. That's not safe. That's not a safe way to do it. Not the way that they race right now. The way they just ram into each other and crash, it's going to happen every race until they fix it. And if that's the case, I don't know how you're going to keep people safe if you're not going to throw the yellow as soon as it's clear that the track is blocked and cars are crashing. So, as much as I don't like it on Thursday, I still wish they could just, in a situation like that, we're coming to the finish. I personally would just like NASCAR to find a workaround on the rule book. I would like to see some level of a local yellow where if there is a crash mid-pack on back, we throw the local yellow, race is over. For everybody behind the little pack up front, they're allowed to keep racing. If somebody in the back does keep racing and doesn't yield speed, they can get a penalty. Like, I'm okay with that, because in a situation like Thursday, where there are 150 feet from the checkered flag, just finish it out. I would rather see him finish it out. But I also still will agree that, I don't know how you police that and say, the only way to do it is to do it in the driver's meeting and just tell them straight up, hey, look, if you're behind a wreck, your race is over. The caution will be out. You will be scored by getting through the wreck, period. If you are ahead of the wreck, you can keep running. And that's how they'll police it. I'm okay with that. I think that can work. But we'll see if NASCAR ever gets along with that. So that's my first problem. They absolutely needed to throw a caution there. I get it. I know a lot of people, it's so backwards from Thursday. I get it. I know. The fact is, though, when Denny Hamlin's spinning across the track and you've got Austin Cindric getting crashed around and he's sitting in the track, the last thing we need is a guy that's running 20th, 2 seconds behind the pack, not lifting and full throttling through there, praying he doesn't hit someone. We don't need that. That's not safe. That's how someone's going to get hurt. So, consistency, but also just common sense. I mean, just use the track as common sense. Yes, I'm glad everyone slowed up. I am. The problem is the guys that slowed up and said, "Oh, wreck, I'm just going to slowly work around the bottom because there should have been a caution." Those guys got blown by somebody on the outside just full throttling, and they lost their spots. They did not get to keep those running spots, and I think they should have. Okay, so then we get past that. William Byron ends up winning the race, and look, it's a cool Exalta scheme, by the way. I mean, he won with the white one last year. A little mid. This one, way better looking car. But the same issue still applies of people are kind of at the point where they're tired of the way these races are finishing. I heard the word prestige. Where's the prestige of the event? It's hard to have a prestigious event when you have your resumes looking like these. And I'm not trying to take a shot at these drivers. I mean, it's going to come off that way regardless. I can't stop it. But we have a guy getting his first career win. We have a guy getting his first career win. We have a guy getting his third career win. And then William Byron back-to-back. It might look legit in the record book because William does win races outside of Daytona. But if you see the races and how he won them, last year he literally caused the big one and then got a caution right at the start-finish line. This year he's running 7th and everyone crashes out in front of him. So William Byron's 2-time Daytona 500 champ is nothing like Dale Jr.'s 2-time Daytona 500 champ or Jimmy Johnson's 2-time Daytona 500 champ or Matt Kenseth even. I mean, Matt Kenseth got one under rain, but the idea or the point behind it is they aren't the same because there's a lot less skill. We're seeing a lot less skill. Now, does it take him making good moves to put himself in position? Sure. But it took good moves to be in 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th as well. Those guys also made good moves. The difference is they all got punished by a guy that just hooked a left and wrecked everybody. And so it's harder to take it seriously. I mean, this is the same stuff people talk about with the championship. We want the champion of the Daytona 500, the champion of the series. We want these things to mean something. We want it to, when we're 25 years looking back at this era, we're going to look and not know what to think. Because there are going to be kids that walk around and go, well, William Byron's just as good as Dale Jr. He got his 2 Daytona 500s just like that. And all of us that watched are going to go, no. You have no idea. You have no idea how different these are. How incredibly different. And again, it sounds bad like it's a shot at William Byron. William Byron has won 2 in a row by putting himself in the right spot. Again, last year he wrecked half the field. I hated it at the time because I was kind of like, I hate rewarding someone for wrecking the field. I don't like that. But at the same time, that's how they race right now, and it's working. So it wasn't intentional, obviously, but, you know, that's part of the problem with this type of racing is it's much harder to take it seriously. And I'll even use this case one more time as an example. Oh, there's my mic. I should probably move that closer so it sounds better. So let's move this case over. Let's go to this. We're going to just start right here. Obviously, Michael Waltrip, was a great super speedway racer. He would lead a lot of laps and run around up front a lot. But he only won races at super speedways. So that's fair. Not as much of a resume, but he was very good at super speedways. Dale Earnhardt Jr., one of the best super speedway racers, if not the best, probably ever. I mean, Dale Earnhardt Sr. is obviously there as well. But Jeff Gordon, also one of the best super speedway racers. Jimmy Johnson, really not one of the best super speedway racers, but 2006, he dominated that season. He just was tremendous. Kevin Harvick, champion. Ryan Newman, yeah, he doesn't have a championship, but he has, I think, around 20 career wins, maybe 25. And those wins include things like a Coke 600, a Brickyard 400, big races. This guy could, he didn't just win once or twice. He won big races. So the resumes of this group, champion. One of the best super speedway racers of all time, also one of the best super speedway racers of all time. Then we make the rotation here. I think Austin Cindric will eventually be one of the better super speedway racers. We will see, because this package just rewards wrecking and it's a lot harder to see the talent. Ricky Stenhouse has only won on super speedways. You could say he's like Michael Waltrip. You could. But it doesn't show up the same. William Byron, literally 2 years in a row, has not been running in the top 5 with 5 to go. And last year it took a crash and then a green-white checkered with another crash. This year it took 2 crashes and literally the top 6 being wiped out. So again, I actually think William Byron's going to be one of the better super speedway racers at the current moment because he's good at putting himself in at least a position for something to happen. The problem is You're just rolling dice. I just want to see these things end green. I want to see them able to race each other. Not hit each other, not ram each other, not shove each other, race each other. Pull a side draft, pull a different move this way, try this, try to lay back and get a run. Not just, all right, I'm at his back bumper, just hammer down, just hit it as hard as I can and hope something good happens. I just don't think that's good for the prestige of the sport. I think it's going to really, and I think it already has, really hurt how big the Daytona 500 is. The Indy 500 is unquestionably the most prestigious race in America, and probably the world. The most prestigious race in the world. And that's because you don't see carnage. It's not carnage every year. Yes, they've had a couple years with, honestly, the last couple years. This last year with Award wasn't bad, but the year before, the Newgarden and Ericsson debacle, that was not great. You know, I thought that was kind of sketchy, the way that they bent the rules and changed them at the last minute. And IndyCar fans, by the way, agreed. They said, you know what? We know we want a green flag finish, but not if we have to tarnish it. No, don't tarnish our race. We value the core principles of our race enough that we can miss one green flag finish. And I applaud IndyCar fans. They know how important the integrity of the sport is, and they hold it in very high regard. But that's the part about it. The Indy 500, you have some fluke wins. You have some kind of one-out wonders occasionally, but you don't see it all the time. You don't see the front five wreck out of the Indy 500 now for the 5th year in a row. That's where we need... That's a problem with Daytona right now. It has lost the prestige because it doesn't look prestigious. It looks like amateur hour on iRacing. That's not good. So, in conclusion to all of that, we're almost 30 minutes in. Daytona, fine, but we're this close to the edge. I'm not going to give it a negative review. It was a Daytona 500. It was okay, fine. I'm still sitting here the day after, kind of just get me to Atlanta. Let's just get past this. That was our biggest race of the year. That's NASCAR's biggest race of the year, and I'm sitting here just going, let's move on to the next one. I don't want to do that anymore. I want to keep a case like this of all the Daytona 500ers, and I want it to mean something. I want that to be a prestigious case of just all these cool cars I've gotten over the years. I want that. And so I'm not going to be satisfied just saying, yeah, let's just keep crashing each other every year all the time forever and ever. I'm not going to do that. So it was a good Daytona 500. There were some moments here and there. There's goods and bads. It's overall, I would say, it was still a decent weekend. But I do think this is an eye-opening weekend. This is the chance that NASCAR and the higher-ups and people need to go to say, all right, it's time to start pointing at the future of the sport. What is this going to look like? Give us the 5-year window. What is this really going to look like in 5 years? Because they have a chance to steer the ship. And you don't have to make major swings. You can make a small tweak. You can make a swing here, but it's kind of getting to that do-or-die point. A lot of people are this close to the edge of jumping off and saying, I'm done, I'll walk out. And I'm one of them, by the way. I love this sport, clearly. But I can't put that much passion behind something with so little integrity. And I don't want to have to leave. I don't want to walk away. I've probably been stubborn enough by staying this long. But I'm getting close because I'm not going to continue on if it's not going to hold up historically. I'm not going to go back and say, back in my era of watching NASCAR, it was all of the... No, wait, it's all carnage and clownery. I don't want that. And I'll find something else to watch, or I just will go do my own thing. I mean, sports are entertainment, and once they cross the line where they're not entertaining, and I mean entertaining meaning there's a deeper level to entertainment than just what you see on this very moment. That's why WWE will never be as big as the NFL. Never. Not possible. Because it's not genuinely authentic competition. That there is a certain line, and NASCAR is very close to going over, where it's no longer genuinely authentic competition, and it just becomes, here, let's roll the dice, and then everybody cheer. Gambling's fun. But if you gamble all the time, it's not really that fun, and it's not really gambling. It's just a game of chance at that point. So anyway, guys, in conclusion, Daytona 500, very solid. I think it was an okay race. I think we are at a point where I've seen enough people, between Eric Estep, between the teardown, watching Actions Detrimental, with Denny Hamlin, just watching enough of this, I think people are at least at a point where they're willing to say, hold on, this isn't good. We need this. This needs to change in direction, or we're going to lose a lot of our potential prestige in this event. And I have said it to a NASCAR driver. I won't say who, but I was getting a car signed by a driver and mentioned that I got to go to the Daytona 500 and saying, oh, got to go to that race. And I specifically said, yeah, doesn't feel very prestigious when it's always a crapshoot. And the driver agreed. And that's not good. No one should say that about the Super Bowl in the NFL. Yeah, Super Bowl's not a big deal. It's always a crapshoot. No, it's the Super Bowl. And it is held in very high regard, as it should. So, in conclusion, it was a fun race. We'll see everybody for COTA. I will stream there. I'll do another race review for Atlanta next week. Hopefully we get some really good racing. Kind of looking forward to getting to a track with maybe a little less chance. I think Atlanta honestly strikes a good balance. So it should be fun. But thanks everybody for tuning in for the stream yesterday. Thanks for tuning in today. And I hope you guys enjoy the diecast reviews the rest of the week. This has been Race Craze. We'll see you in the next one.